Hey everybody, it's Ben, and I am doing a video panel today because I have an opportunity to do a topic that I think we are going to need the information on, especially now that we've become HEMA. Okay, but before I begin with that, I do want to say that while we are looking into an opening on the first weekend of April, or maybe even the second or third weekend of April, it is a possibility that we can't. Tom is going to be doing the research on that, and then the board of directors are going to decide. But just in case we can't, I wanted to have another video in the loop so that we can kind of keep these things going. I do have another video that I want to do, and it's going to be about dagger fighting, as it pertains directly to only daggers and only in actual combat. Not a duel, not a knife fight at a bar or anything like that. But that's later on. I do want anybody who is interested in or even wanting to do another video to please contact me. Do it directly via text, do it via email, do it on the WhatsApp. Let's see if we can get a couple of more videos made and at least saved up on our YouTube channel and ready to be published, so that in case we don't open, we can continue to do it. Even if we do open, though, we're still going to publish the ones that are made, okay? So, for example, Jeremiah, we talked about, hey, how do you retie your shanai, that center string that goes down, up, and down? I would love to see that, because that's one of the biggest repairs that any group faces when they fight with shanai. So, let me know, okay? So, today's topic, in case you're wondering, and I hope you're getting kind of curious, hey guys, a side sword. This is a term that is actually heard a lot in HEMA groups, and yet, in my opinion, it is a term that is used incorrectly. Why? Side sword is actually a modern term, side sword. Okay, it is a modern term that has just come into vogue within the last 8 years or so. Oh, gee, it just so happens that HEMA has become popular over the last 8 years or so. And it is something that everybody now, when you talk about, oh, hey, you're in a HEMA group. What weapon do you use? I use a side sword. Oh, hey, you're going to be doing HEMA. What weapon are you going to buy? I'm going to buy a side sword. What the hell is a side sword? Well, I'm about to tell you. The truth of the matter is side sword is a modern term. It is a modern term. It has not been used in any of the treatises. It has not been written of in any of the manuscripts as side sword. Okay? A side sword in modern terms is basically a sword that you wear on your side. If you think about it, if you're in HEMA, you're doing late 1500s to the 1700s, okay? So therefore, if you were a warrior of that time and you were not an officer, you're just an average warrior, you would actually probably be using a crossbow, a bow, a musket or arabesque, or a lance, or a sword and shield, or a polearm. Well, what happens when these things break? Well, you would go to your side sword, okay? And that's all that term means. That's all it means. Side sword means the sword that you wear on your side. But it doesn't tell you what specific sword that is if you just use the term side sword. I can have a hand and a half sword as my side sword. Tom, too, because he's a jolly green giant, can have a two-handed sword as his side sword. You can have a cavalry saber. You can have what we, if you read your manual, term an arming sword as your side sword. You can have a falchion as your side sword. Side sword, in all honesty, historically, All that means is the weapon that you wear on your side. Now, in modern days, for a lot of the HEMA group, sidesword means some kind of a sword that has a hilt like this, okay, but is not long and thin. That's a pure rapier. That's what it means. It comes from the Oliver Cromwell period. It comes from the late Renaissance period. It comes from the Italian, Spanish, and German cut and thrust swords, which were that period between long swords and arming swords and rapiers. It was something you would wear on your side. So for us in our guild, a side sword doesn't mean anything. So if you go around saying, yeah, I carry a side sword, yeah, so do I. Because any sword that you wear on your side is a side sword. Okay? Are we clear on that part first? Okay? The second part I want to talk about then is, okay, one of the reasons I'm doing this video is because there is a new sword seller. Well, he's not new. He's been on eBay for a while. I've worked with him before, but he's trying to expand his business. And he said, hey, man, Deltin Hanway has come out with a side sword. And I was like, what the hell are you talking about, man? There's so many different things that could be a side sword. Oh, well, I guess you would say this is an Italian cut and thrust sword to be used with HEMA. And I was like, ooh, that's neat, because we know Deltin and Hanway makes good stuff. He says, you know what? We've worked together a long time before. If you cover shipping, I will send you one. And guess what? So he has. Okay? So I do want to show off this a little bit. Number one, if you'll notice, it is thicker. It is not a rapier. There is a version that does have the sticky point on the end, an actual point that is an actual fightable weapon. This one has a curved round end, so it can be used for HEMA. Okay, so I can stab you with this and you will be okay. And I can cut with you, and if you have your HEMA jacket on, you will be okay. I have to be honest, I like it. It's not too flexible, so it's not like a foil. Okay, it has a very good safety tip on it. If you look at it, it really does. Okay, and it has a very, very, very good guard and a nice pistol grip handle, and it has a very good heavy pommel for fighting. Okay, the whole thing weighs about 2 pounds and is about 43 inches overall. I think the blade is about 38 inches long. All right. Again, there is an actual live steel with a pointy version of this. It sells for about $250. Okay. But then again, it is a Deltin Hanway. So that's pretty cheap for them. And I think the reason it's so cheap is because it's not so wide. They're not putting as much metal into this. Okay. But hey, why would we use that? Well, honestly, a lot of times when we go to fair, a lot of us are in the archery squad. And let's say I'm an archer and I'm shooting my bow, I'm out of arrows, okay? Or my bow breaks, oh no. Or my strings are wet and my bow is useless, I would go to my side sword. And this particular style, this particular model gives me a lot of options, okay? It's 2 pounds. And honestly, if I need to, I don't know if I have the space here, I can use it as a rapier. If you look at it, I have the same control as a rapier point. Also, if I need to, I could use it as a cutting edge. Slices, not chopping because the blade is very thin, but I have slices. I have slice action. If you see that, I have slice action. I can go left, right, up, down, left, right, down for a lower block if I have to. Sorry, I don't have the space on the bottom to do it full speed. Okay? And believe it or not, traditionally for the Germans and for the Italians, this was an absolute beloved sword to be used with a buckler. Okay? And it kind of makes sense if you think about it, because I can punch with the buckler, and then hit you with the sword. I can block with the buckler and stab you with the sword. Okay? So, I guess the whole point is, number one, I wanted to introduce you to this weapon. It's really neat. And once we reopen, you will see me giving lessons with this a lot. Okay, because this is a true HEMA weapon made for HEMA. Unlike a lot of the fencing, the regular Olympic style fencing gear that we use to substitute until we can afford better. Okay, I happen to have gotten lucky. I paid $40 to ship this to me, and yeah, I got a $250 HEMA sword for $50. Okay, but the other thing I wanted to talk about, to discuss is, okay, if you meet another HEMA group, if you meet somebody from another HEMA group, we all know what a rapier is, okay? If they say rapier, it's a rapier, okay? And you've seen some of the ones that we have. But if you hear them talk about sidesword, number one, understand, sidesword is a modern term. In actuality, in the old days, in historical times, when somebody says side sword, it could be any type of sword that you just wear on your side as a backup. They don't tell you what type of sword it is because it is just considered, hey man, everybody has one. If you meet a modern HEMA practitioner from another HEMA group, what have you, doesn't matter, okay? And they say, yeah, I fight sidesword, it probably looks like this, okay? This is what they're talking about, okay? It can be this. It could be a Cromwell sword with the bell guard. It could be a Scottish claymore with a bell guard. And a lot of times, okay, you'll hear the term, I have a back sword. It probably looks like this, only it's single-edged. It's not double-edged, okay? Just a little bit on terminology so we understand, okay? So that there's no confusion, so that if they say, well, you can't fight with us, you don't have a real side sword. Well, guess what? Historically, a side sword is anything that I can carry that can kill you. All right? Take care of yourself. I hope this was informative, and I hope it makes you curious to hear me talk about daggers next. Bye.